Alright, welcome back. You can now see that we have our 4 corner blocks put into our little stool. And what we're going to do now is actually just adjust these rails down a bit, because you're not going to want them to sit flush, because we're going to actually add a seat here in the next tutorial. So we're just going to come up to here and we're going to pick this one right here. And what I do is if I pick this cross rail, you can come down, you can see that's flush right there. So I'm going to take that flush, and at the bottom here I'm going to change it to -0.5. Okay, and you can see it drops down, and it dropped down on both sides. So now what we're going to do is go to this guy, which is this cross rail here. I'm going to close this one up, expand this one, and we're going to go find that flush. Okay, and same thing down at the bottom here. We're going to put that to -0.5. Okay, now what happened is it actually wasn't all fully constrained, so it moved. This one didn't move down. So what we're going to do is just move farther down here, right there. There it is. Take that flush and call that one -0.5. There we go. So now if I look at this all the way around, it's all dropped down 0.5 of an inch. Okay, and we're going to finish off like that. All right, so the last part in this tutorial is just going to be, if you want to give this thing a bit more aesthetics, what we can do is we can go to fillet up here. So instead of assemble, I've just moved over to 3D model and fillet. And I'm going to give, first off, I'm going to give the ends of each leg a radius of 1. So I'm going to grab this one here, and then this one here, and this one up here. I'm going to give it a radius 1 and apply. I'm just going to get out of this for a second. So there's now my edges radius. Now the problem is with the software and the way we've done it is these pieces are just whole pieces. So if I go to do the rest of these edges, they kind of cut through stuff. So for example, if I go back to fillet, and what I mean by this is if I go radius and I go 0.25, okay, so I'm going to use a router bit now, and basically to router all these edges. So I can do this. Okay, and you can see it works quite fine. Okay, and I'm just going to do this piece. I won't do the whole thing. Okay, and then that piece there, and then finally this piece here. Okay, so I go apply. Okay, let's just cancel out. And you can see that I've done the edges. Now, sometimes what you got to do to see this better is I'm going to get rid of shaded with edges and just go shaded. So now you can see this edge is rounded over nicely. The problem is if I go back in and I go fillet, and I go and I fillet this side and this side, if I hit apply, okay, and I just go back to shading with edges, and you can see now what it's done is it's actually routed right past that. So, you know, it might look a little funny sometimes. So for example, down in here, if we go fillet right now, I'm just going to move this over here, and I fillet this edge, I wrote that edge. Okay, you can see that that's what it's doing. Now, this is, your project's not going to look like this. We're going to have to route it separately, but at least this just gives you kind of a generic feel for maybe what it's going to look like when it's done, right? So there's the edge kind of routed, there's the edge kind of straight, you know, and you can see the effect is going to look a little nicer. Okay, so I'm going to stop at this point, and then the last tutorial we are actually going to add a seat for this and be done this project. Okay, and you can obviously finish off your routing or filleting all your edges if you want. So that concludes this tutorial.